In this video, we are going to measure a single point depth. So we're going to use the point feature to take a single point with a single star offset. We'll be driving in and taking the point on the undercut rear face. So this feature here, this face. And again, it's just a single point for a single point depth measurement. So let's go into Avalink and get that measured. Here we go. And again, just to highlight, it's going to be this face in which we take the measurement on. So let's switch the probe on. As with all the previous measurements, the key thing here is making sure the Z- offset is active prior to opening the feature. So we can switch that on. We can then open up the measurement, so in this case a point, and click on CNC and lock the padlocks. Again, that controls the vector direction so that it goes in and out the front of the job. And now that's done, we can look to get some measurements. Now, one of the things I haven't covered previously in the tutorial is the clipping plane. So just to go through that, if you're in CAD programming mode, go to CAD Tools and you'll see the option here, clipping plane. What we can do with clipping plane, once selected, it opens this window, is click on this purple icon and offset from a previous face. So we select a face, we then change the number, enter, and it will cross section through the model based off that offset from the face you selected. You can also use these arrows to change the number manually. These are just mouse clicks. And what you can also do, if you select a face, you can also change the vector. So if I change this vector to say -1, 0, 0 and set, it will slice sideways through the job. This is often very useful when you go deep inside a bore that is hard to see, because then I can view the model as a cross section. So this gives you a good idea. In this example, what we're going to do is I'm going to use the face in which I want to measure, and then I'm going to back it off just enough so I can still see the probe. The other thing I'm going to make use of is I'm going to turn on the show face details option. So click here and I'm going to select that face so that it highlights it green. This makes it visually easier to see when we come to take our probing points. So now I'm going to use this view block down in the corner, this rotation cube. Click on the green face so that it squares up, and you should see now we've got easy visual access to the face in which we want to take the point, and the plane is highlighted green. Now we are ready to switch probe. Now in some cases, once you've made changes to the clipping plane and the show face details, the probe won't follow you on the screen. If this happens, just switch the probe off and back on again, and then it should update. And in this example, I'm going to take a point with the X- offset. So I'm going to zoom in here, take a point just by clicking, and you'll see that automatically writes the point in to the program. The difficulty, however, is that if we look at the probe paths for this, so I can close this clipping plane now, go to view edit, display options and show probe path. So it drives in and out the front of the job. However, it goes directly to the point, and that is going to cause an issue as it's going to crash into the plane in front of that point. So with previous exercises, we've used the right click and insert above move via option. That is still a completely viable option in this scenario. But just to show you another alternative, we can left click on the turquoise plunge and rise arrows and drag them to the center of the bore. What this is going to do is insert a move via automatically, and it makes the process a little bit easier than having to wonder which numbers you're using and whether they are correct or not. As you can see here, that's written those two move vias in. You just have to make sure they're pretty much square to the face so there's no collisions when it drives in. And if I switch the camera on now, you should see this here. just make this a little bit smaller, and if I run this program now, you should see it drives to that move via point, takes the point, then goes to the second move via point and exits. So that is a couple of extra tools and essentially doing a single point measurement. If we look at that in the software now, we can easily go from the front plane to the point. Again, I just need to switch the probe paths off here. So front plane to the point, and you see we get a nice distance there. It is just a single point distance, however. If you need more data, so flatness, parallelism, squareness, as well as an average over the entire face, you have to measure it as a plane, and we'll cover that in the next video.